is Prophet Trisha J. I am co-leader of Truth Seekers International. We are a praying and fasting ministry. We fast the first 3 days of every month, and we are big on just doing whatever the Lord is telling us to do. So we're Bible-based, prophetic leaning ministry. And so I am here today for us to, can you hear me okay? I'm here today for us to continue to go through and walk through the book of Daniel. Okay, and so with that, we are hearing from the Lord. We're walking through the scripture as he tells us to, and we are in Daniel. Next up will be Revelation. And don't be scared. Don't be scared, because blessed are those who read the book of Revelation. There is a blessing attached to it, but it's for us preparation. Okay, and so God wants you to read his entire book and be prepared for all the things that he has in store for you, even the good things. So if you're watching live, go ahead and type in live. If you're watching replay, go ahead and type in the replay. Let me know where you're watching from so I can pray for you. Okay, Pastor John and I like to pray for those who are connected to the ministry. We call ourselves a vitamin E ministry because we're E church, and so we always recommend you are at somebody's church house, okay? But we do understand that there are times where you are busy and you can't get there for whatever reason. We are here as supplementing, okay? And so our foundational scripture is Isaiah 43, verse 19. Behold, I'm doing a new thing in you. Behold, I'm doing a new thing. Shall you not perceive it? I'm making ways in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. But yes, he is doing a new thing in you too. Yeah, he's doing a new thing in you too. And so we've been walking through the book of Daniel. We literally just got here 2 days ago. Not for now. That's crazy. You already know you're moving, but you're not wrong. You are moving. You are. So we bless God for preparing you and getting you everything that you need for the move. But yeah, so we're walking through the book of Daniel, and we just got here a couple days ago, so you have not missed much. We're in chapter 3, and we have seen that Daniel is different. Okay, Daniel is different. He not like everybody else. You don't always see Daniel in the places when the things are going down, but guess what? After the stuff hits the fan, when the grits hit the fan, guess who they calling? Daniel. They call him Daniel, and so I love to see this because Daniel is this. He's just excellent. He's excellent. He goes above and beyond the call of duty. Um, Man, I just got my review done at work, and it was so funny because I got a promotion, and so you can't get exceeds expectations or all the higher achievements after a promotion. You have to level set and start from your new level 1, even though you have gone up a level. And he was saying how my boss, he was saying how like I am an overachiever, like I go above and beyond. And he was just like, if you hadn't got the promotion, you would have gotten exceeds. And I was like, I know, but that's just in me. Like, that's who I am. And that's who Daniel is. Daniel is a person that is excellent. The extra mile is never crowded. It's never crowded. Nobody wants to do all of that. They think it doesn't take all of that. But it absolutely does. And here's the thing. I don't even really be thinking they deserve it. I think I do too much. But I work for the Lord. So I'm going to do whatever he tells me to do. No matter what the check says, whether it's my own name writing my check through my business, or whether it's me stewarding somebody else's business, working for them, learning their systems, because that's why you work for other people when you are an entrepreneur. You work for other people so you can learn how they do things. And then from there, you can say, I like that system. I'm going to implement that when I have a business, or I don't like that system. I won't be doing that when I have my people and when I have a business. So it's training ground. You pay attention. Okay, Daniel has been trained for 3 years. Him and his friends, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, they are Hebrew boys taken from their land, and they still call God a sovereign God. Okay, they have become eunuchs. They are of royal and noble lineage, and they can never reproduce. And they still call God a good God. Okay, even through going through all of the things, He's still a good God, and they still go out of their way to serve Him despite the circumstances that they're in. That's a word right there. Because let us be uncomfortable just a little bit, and we just don't want to serve Him no more. That's crazy. But you know I'm right. Let you not get the job, or that deal fall through, which sometimes can be witchcraft, by the way, because everybody don't want to see you do good. Just saying. And we be mad at God. No, increase your prayer life, because He'll show you some things if you ask Him. And that's enough about that. So let me jump right into this word. We already prayed for the word, so after prayer, I just jump right into it. I am reading Daniel chapter 3 in my ESV Bible. Okay, we're gonna start at verse 1. King Nebuchadnezzar made a gold statue 90 feet high and 9 feet wide. He set it up on a plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. So they're not in the capital, okay? But he set it up in the province of Babylon. King Nebuchadnezzar sent word to assemble the satraps, the prefects, the governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, and magistrates, and all the rulers of the provinces to attend the dedication of the statue King Nebi set up. So the satraps, prefects, governors, advisors, treasurers, judges, magistrates, and all the rulers of the provinces assembled for the dedication of the statue the king had set up. They stood before the statue King Nebi set up, and a herald loudly proclaimed, people of every nation and language, you are commanded when you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, drum, and every kind of music, you are to fall face down and worship the golden statue that King Nebi has set up. But whoever does not fall down and worship will immediately be thrown into the furnace of a blazing fire. Therefore, when all people heard the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, and every kind of music, people of every nation and language fell down and worshipped the gold statue that King Nebi set up. Let's stop there, because I don't know about you, but do we not remember what we just talked about in chapter 2? King Nebuchadnezzar had a whole dream in chapter 2. Okay. And he didn't even want to tell anybody what the dream was and wanted them to interpret the dream. Only Daniel could do that. Okay. Only Daniel could interpret the dream. And guess what? When he does, he says, this is from God. This is not from me. I do not get to take the credit for this. Okay. With that, based on the dream, he goes on and makes a golden statue. This is an idol, by the way. And so if you're new here, welcome. Welcome to the party. But what I have been saying for quite a while now, y'all check me on the timeline, but I feel like it's been over a year. I've been a broken record saying that the idols are falling. We did a whole series on it. The idols are falling. And King Nebuchadnezzar creates an idol. Okay, so he basically made this image, because it's not all gold. I don't want you to think that it's all gold. He makes this image, and then he does like a gold encasing. He covers it over the image that he created, and made that part gold. Okay, and so it is basically an idol. And so it reminds me of the dream where he saw the head of gold, right? Where is that in the book? He saw the head of gold, and then all of the other pieces were different materials, but they weren't all gold. And so because of that, he takes it and interprets the dream his own way. Okay. But I'm going to go back to Daniel 2 real quick. Daniel chapter 2, verse 22 says, He reveals the deep and hidden things. He knows what is in the darkness, and the light dwells within him. And so he's talking about God. And then he goes to tell the dream to King Nebi. And so then he gets to talking about the empires back down, and verse 32 is where it is. The head of the statue was pure gold, and its chest and arms were silver, its stomach and thighs were bronze, its legs were iron, and its feet were partly iron, partly fire clay. Okay, so this is the dream that we just saw, right? In chapter 2. Now we're in chapter 3, and King Nebi has absolutely tried to make this dream come to pass on his own. Not only that, in his mind, or in my mind, I believe that he's like, he heard the gold. And this is why many prophetic ministries now are like, no, record it. Record what I'm saying, or write down what I'm saying, because you need to remember it. And so I'm sure they had scribes, because we have books of chronicles, right? But all he heard when Daniel was interpreting the dream for him was a head of gold, which was him. That's his, dynasty, if you will. That's his empire and his legacy. And so he made an image of it, overlaid it with gold. It becomes an idol. How many of you know that your dreams and the visions, the things that God has given you, can become an idol? Some people are literally supposed to be worshipers, but they want to just sing. I just want to be a singer. What type of music you trying to sing? And then they focus on that. I just want to be a singer. And they'll focus on doing whatever they can to sing. Do you know this music industry is crazy? They prey on people that just are so hungry for wanting to be the singer that they idolize the gift, that they will betray themselves, is the best way I can say it. They'll betray themselves morally, they'll betray themselves physically, and they'll even betray themselves financially just so they can say that they're singers. How many people do we see? They're so happy their first album because they're finally getting to do the thing, even though they've had to betray themselves and they've sold their bodies in exchange for beats, or to work with a certain producer, or to even get the record deal. There has to be an exchange, right? And then come the second album, they realize, oh, that contract wasn't good. Oh, I got too much of an advance, and I owe the record deal so much money that I haven't even earned out of what I owe them from them giving me an advance, that it doesn't even make sense. They're not going to even give me permission to get a second album. I'm still going to owe them. And then they realize, oh, I'm a slave. You have to be able to walk away from. So I've walked away from record deals before. Because if it doesn't make sense financially, I don't want to be famous. I want to be paid. I'm just being honest. I want to be paid. I don't want to be, don't do all that. I want to be able to shop at Whole Foods and Target and go to Nordstrom, and I don't want to have to hide. No, thank you. I just want to be paid. I don't want to have to do the hoodie, and I can only go a certain time. I just want to be paid. I don't really care that people really know my name like that. Some people do. They want to be seen. They want to be famous. Why do you think we have so many influencers? I was just telling my kids, we need more electricians. We need more people that do trade work. But everybody want to be a rapper right now. Everybody want to be an influencer right now. And it's like, no, we actually need you to do a job. You need to do a service. And so I'm saying all that to say, this is where he's just like going off. He's going off. Okay. And so how many of us try and interpret our own dreams, or interpret what the prophecy meant? You get a prophecy that you're going to be a millionaire, and you're like, bet, I'm about to make this happen. You can't make it happen. It's not going to happen until it's God's timing for it to happen. It's not going to happen until you're ready for it to happen. That means you have to be in the right mind space. That means your heart needs to be in a certain space. Your obedience absolutely needs to be in a certain space. So you'll hear the prophecy and you'll get it in seed form. But as you get to the prophecy being made manifest, you're not the same person you were when you received it. You've gone through a process. There's a great exchange that has happened. You are shedding things that are withholding. They're holding you back from receiving the prophecy. You will not be the same mentally, spiritually, and sometimes even physically. You just won't. Think about the prophecy, the last prophecy you got that was fulfilled. Think about when you got it, and think about when it was made manifest, when it was fulfilled. You were not the same. You were not the same. I can think back to when the Lord, He gave it to me. He showed me my son. He showed me I was going to have this beautiful little baby boy, head full of hair. And, you know, Pastor John was going to be smiling and happy. I was going to be smiling and happy. All the things. This is what I seen before I had any kids. This is what I seen. I hadn't even had any kids. Okay? I didn't have any kids. I was still in the I don't ever want to have kids phase. And he was like, but you gonna have some kids. I'm gonna need you to do this for me. Let me show you. You're gonna have some kids. I didn't realize there was gonna be so many. Okay, I had no idea it was gonna be as many kids as it was. He showed me the end first. Okay. I was good and small and skinny, and I was overzealous as a believer. So it was like whatever he said do, we was doing right now, today, immediately. And by the time I had John, I was tired. I was exhausted. I'm talking about faith wise, baby. This was the fight of my life. 5 kids. What? That's crazy. 5 kids, 8 pregnancies. You could have never told me that. But I wasn't the same. I wasn't the same. And then there were times where I tried to help God make this happen. Every time I would try to get pregnant, we would be like watching the calendar and all that. I couldn't get pregnant. Every time I got pregnant, it wasn't me. I didn't want to. I was skipping ovulation days. I was doing all of the things and getting pregnant. And then the times where I was like actually trying, with the ovulation kits and all, it was not happening. God was showing me like, no, I'm in control. I'm doing this in my timing. You can't help me with this. See, I just like to use myself so that way people don't feel like I'm picking on them. Okay. But he basically tried to take the interpretation that Daniel gave him and make his own. Okay. And so with that, he created this 90-foot high, 9-foot wide body, which was an idol. Okay. Which is crazy. And then listen to the power of music though. He says when you hear the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, the drum, and every kind of music, you are to fall face down and worship. That happens today. Music is such a powerful tool. And I think we don't realize that. And so we have to be more conscious and cognizant of the things that we listen to. Music is the soundtrack of your life. I don't typically listen to secular music. I listen to more of it now that I actually teach classes because that's the choreography. Um, but outside of that, I don't listen to secular music like that. But that's my work. That's my job. So that's what I do. And so pay attention to the songs that you're listening to just because you want to listen to them. Some of those words be crazy. They really be crazy. So just putting that out there, okay? And so everybody else fell down and worshipped because that's what music tells you to do. Think about R. Kelly. He called himself the Pied Piper. The Pied Piper was one person who, whatever they played, they were leading people to their destruction. You couldn't even help it by the music. It was so captivating while he was playing his instrument that you would just be doing the things. And so that's why so many people, even to this day, are like, free him, because the music had them in a spiritual chokehold. And so we see here that King Nebi is using music for his influence too. So two idols put together. Okay. Now, let's get back to the reading. Verse 8. Some Chaldeans took this occasion to come forward and maliciously accuse the Jews. They said to King Nebi, "May the king live forever. You, as king, have issued a decree that everyone who hears the sound of the horn, the flute, the zither, the lyre, the harp, drum, and every kind of music must fall down and worship the gold statue. Whoever does not fall down and worship will be thrown into a a furnace of blazing fire. There are also some Jews you have appointed to manage the province of Babylon." Jews. Jews. There are some Jews. The Chaldeans don't like the Jews, just FYI. They don't like the Hebrews. And so Jews was actually a racial slur back then. Okay. There are some Jews that you have appointed to manage the province of Babylon. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. These men have ignored you, the king. So they're playing to his ego because they know that this is a weakness that he has. He's very egotistical. They do not serve your gods or worship the gold statue you have set up. Then, in a furious rage, so he accepted the bait, Nebi gave orders to bring in Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. So these men were brought before the king. Nebi asked them, "Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, is it true that you don't serve my gods or worship the gold statue that I have set up? Now, if you're ready, when you hear the sound of the horn, flute, zither, lyre, harp, drum, and every kind of music, fall down and worship the statue I made. But if you don't worship it, you will immediately be thrown into the furnace of blazing fire. And who is the God who can rescue you from my power?" He's basically saying, I'm all powerful. Nobody can stop this, okay? My gods, can your God stop it? But I think the thing that is really prevalent in this piece is that a couple things. Number one, he gave into his ego, right? But then also, he likes them. We see that he likes them because he gives them a second chance. Well, they said it, but how would I know? All the people were bowing down as far as I know, unless they were just like in the middle, completely standing. So we don't even know where they were. Somebody saw them not standing, and they basically told on them. He likes them so much, he brings them and asks them again. So is this true? But I also need to verify now, since this came up. Come on down, let's figure this out. Because if you did it once, you have no problem doing it again. So he's like, here's the chance. He gives them a second chance. So that is good. That's big. He gives them a second chance. And then he's like, and who is the God who can rescue you from my power? So, he thinks that he's like at the top, which is why he takes the gold head and makes a whole gold body. Like, this is just showing his mindset of how egotistical and pride filled he is. Okay. All right, let's go down to no, one part I wanted to share. He says, who can rescue you? And rescue is an Aramaic word, yezib, Yeszib. And so with this Aramaic word, the meaning means he can deliver or rescue. Okay, and so he's saying, who's going to do that? But it's God that can do that. Okay. All right, now we're going to verse 16. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah replied to the king, Nebi, "We don't need to give you an answer to this question. If the God we serve exists, then he can rescue us from the furnace of the blazing fire. And he can rescue us from the power of you, the king. But if he does not rescue us, We want you to know, we want you as the king to know that we will not serve your gods or worship the golden statue you set up. Pause. This is big because these are slave boys. Okay? They are slaves. And I love that. They're like, well, we technically don't even need to answer your question. So that's one, right? Um, the God we serve, he absolutely exists. He can rescue us, but also we're in slavery. He could have rescued us before we got into slavery. So we know that he can do these things. Will he? And who are you to force his hand? That's not how this works. So they're letting him know, like, he's still God. Whether what I want to happen or not happens, he's still God. You think I want to be your slave? I absolutely do not. But guess what? He's still my God. I'm probably not happy with these circumstances. I'm making the most of them. Okay? The promotion makes them a little bit more comfortable, even though technically they're still slaves. Okay? And they say, but even if he doesn't rescue us, we want you to know we won't serve your gods. We will not be worshiping your gods. We will not be performing any idol worship, even if he doesn't save us. So that means even if we die, I'm okay with that. This is right along with Esther. Esther was definitely on this type of time. And if I perish, I perish. That's pretty much what they're saying to the king. Okay? And so I love that. They said whether or not he saves us is his choice. Whether or not we was in slavery, that was a result of our disobedience, but he could have saved us. He chose not to. He's still God. And so this is just speaking to the sovereignty of God. You don't always have to like the situation that you're in, but guess what? He's still God. And more importantly, he's still good. Okay? So I love that they call out that, he could do these things, which we would consider a miracle. He could save them. That would be a miracle. But even if the miracle didn't happen, their faith wasn't limited to a miracle. It wasn't limited to a sign. It wasn't limited to a wonder. Okay? They trusted his sovereignty, whether he did it or not. And so this is a strong statement of faith, and we need to have strong statements of faith in this time where we are today. Okay? All right, let's go to verse 19. Then Nebi was filled with rage because why rage? Ego, pride. Pride comes before a fall. Rage is very dangerous. It's a very dangerous emotion to feel. There's a lot of people that are in jail experienced rage at some point. And so you have to get to a space where you are higher in your emotional intelligence to calculate things and make sure that you are not allowing your emotions to take over. He was not in that space yet, okay? He was filled with rage, and the expression on his face changed toward Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. He gave orders to heat the furnace 7 times more than customary and commanded some of the best soldiers in his army to tie up Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah and throw them into the blazing fire. So these men in their trousers, robes, head coverings, and other clothes were tied up and thrown into the furnace of blazing fire. Since the king's command was so urgent, the fire, extremely hot, the raging flames killed those men who carried up Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Now, mind you, this is how we know rage is crazy. You just had your best men tie up these boys and take them to the fire. They died. Your best. They died. Because you're not thinking logically because you're in rage. Okay? So, they fell to the blazing fire. Verse 24. Then King Nebi jumped up in alarm. He said to his advisors, "Didn't we throw 3 men bound into the fire?" "Yes, of course, your majesty," they replied to the king. He exclaimed, "Look, I see 4 men not tied walking around in the fire unharmed, and the 4th looks like the son of the gods." Nebi then approached the door of the furnace of the blazing fire, and called out, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, your servants of the Most High God, come out. So Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah came out of the fire. When the satraps, prefects, governors, prefects, why am I'm tired, prefects, governors, and the king's advisors gathered around, they saw the fire had no effect on their bodies. Of these men, not a hair on their heads was singed, their robes were unaffected, and there was no smell of fire on them. Nebi exclaimed, Praise to the God of Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. He sent his angel and rescued his servants who trusted in him. They violated the king's command and risked their lives rather than serve and worship any god except their own. Therefore, I issue a decree. Anyone of any people, nation, or language who says anything offensive against the God of Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah will be torn limb from limb, and his house made a garbage dump. For there is no other God who is able to deliver like this. Then the king rewarded Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah in the province of Babylon. All right, so number one, I just want to call out verse 25. He said, Look, basically, he said, Behold, okay? He just called out a behold moment. Behold, I'm doing a new thing. Shall you not perceive it? Making ways in the river, wilderness and rivers in the desert. That's what's happening here, okay? So I love that we get to see a behold moment. You know, I try to make sure I call out the behold moments. But he was looking to see them burned up, and not only were they bound, and you killed your best man in a fit of rage. You look totally different at them because you are overcome with rage. You lose your best man, you throw them in, and you're expecting for them just to be burned up. Not only were they bound when they were burned in, put in the furnace to be burned, they're walking now, and they're unbound, and it's another person in there with them. And so scholars of course believe that this is a pre-incarnate version of the Messiah that's walking with them. Okay. And so the king has no choice but to recognize the God of Israel, because nobody goes against the king except the God of the kings. Okay, and this is why we call him King of Kings and Lord of Lords. So yeah, you're a king, but you still don't outrank me. Okay, so he had no choice but to recognize the God of Israel. And I love this story because it really shows us that faith doesn't always mean that it's going to be something that's convenient, right? Faith doesn't always mean that, it doesn't always translate to immediate victory. They still had to go through that whole process. They had to go through, guess what? We're not bowing. Still not going to happen. Guess what? You do what you got to do. Now the king is mad at us. He is persecuting us, you know. We got people plotting on our downfall, which is why we're here in the first place, right? The weapon formed, but it didn't get to prosper. And so this is where I'm going to say it. I'm trying to find what they say. I'm finding it. This is where the Western church has failed a lot of believers or Christians. There's been a lot of pie in the sky, prosperity, so much grace. People are scared to speak of sin. People are scared to talk about the consequences of actions. You reap what you sow, right? We're okay with talking about karma, but we're not okay with talking about you reap what you sow. We're okay with talking about grace, but we're not talking about what happens when you exhaust your grace, when you abuse it. And so there has to be boundaries, and there just has to be balance, and right now there's not balance in the Western church. I think that's the best way that I can say it, and so that has always been my critique, and the Lord definitely showed me that, right? And so with that, I believe wholeheartedly, holistically, even outside of ministry, you can't critique something if you're not willing to be a part of the change. And so I've always had this critique sitting in the pulpit, sitting in like church, but I was never in the pulpit. And so he was like, "Yeah, come on, I got you. Um, now you can do it." So Pastor John and I do talk about sin. We talk about the uncomfortable, not so popular topics, which is why I am big on. I don't know that I want us to be a 501c3 because you can't speak on certain things. And if you look at how the Western church is set up today, when you get a good system going, and the money starts flowing, people write letters and tell you, "I don't like you talking about. Don't talk about homosexuality." Or I'm leaving the church and I'm not tithing anymore. Don't talk about whatever their sin is. And so we let money become an idol in the church, and whoever is giving the money, if they write a big enough check, we will bypass whatever sin they're having, and it's time out for that because everybody's toes should be getting stepped on in church. It's a hospital for the sick. It just is. And so you should be feeling convicted in the church house. You should be feeling like, "Oh, I need to work on that." That is the whole point. But it's not just to highlight one sin. All sin is wrong. All sin is wrong. All sin is wrong. Lying, little white lie, still wrong. Cussing, even though you was cussing because you was mad, guess what? It's still wrong. Like all of the sins are sins and they're wrong and they don't make God happy. And so we need to get back to that type of balance. We need to get to a place where we trust the sovereignty of God and accept it. And accepting that means we will be doing some of those things that don't necessarily make people happy. Okay. And I am so over time. So let me wrap this up. We have to make sure that we're being faithful in the small things. Okay. And so I always tell you 1% changes. That was a small thing, but it was really a big thing. And so the small things turn into big things. And so King Nebi, he acknowledged the God of Israel at the end, but he still didn't serve him. He still didn't convert. And so this pagan king is filled with so much pride and arrogance that God's judgment is on the way, and he already got the dream warning him of the things. And so we'll see the result of his pride and the downfall because of his pride in future chapters. Okay. I hope that this has blessed you. I love you very, very much. We will continue on social media throughout the week, dropping some tidbits. Truthfully speaking, Pastor John will do a midweek piece, and then Saturday we'll have Bible study. I'll be back on Sunday for Daniel chapter 4. And then also, I just want to let you know at the end of the month, it's still business as usual, but I will be gone. I will be at a work conference. So I will have videos pre recorded and scheduled for you so you can watch them at your leisure. Okay? I feel like that's all. I got to get ready to go teach a dance class. So I love you. I hope you have a great rest of your day. I pray that this blessed you. If you're watching live, go ahead and type in live. If you're watching replay, go ahead and type in replay. If this blessed you, go ahead and type in amen. But more importantly, share with someone. Okay, share with someone. I love you. Send my boss Bailey some love. I seen a picture of her, me holding her as a baby, and I was like, she's not a baby no more. I just love her though. All right, I love y'all. I gotta go eat something before class. I will see y'all later. If you come to class, I'll see you soon. I miss y'all. I love you. Be blessed. We'll talk soon. Somebody share this to Facebook, please. Okay, bye.